remakes. Everybody loves them. Just kidding. We're talking about game remakes. Now, not every video game remake and remaster is good. I mean, some of them can be really crappy. But unlike movie remakes, I think there are actually more good game remakes than there are bad ones. But why is that? The difference is with a game, you can make a few tweaks here and there for better physics or maybe better camera controls and even some quality of life updates. But 9 times out of 10, you don't touch much except for the graphics. But with movies, somebody always comes in with their take on the subject matter and 9 times out of 10 totally botch it. And even with a game, if you keep everything exactly the same, no changes whatsoever except for the graphics, it can still turn out fantastic. If the game was fun and popular to begin with, it's probably going to stay that way and people are going to just love the memories of it. But if you do nothing to a movie and just change the graphics, you get something like this. Oh my God! Ugh. We've gotten tons of video game remakes over the years, but I think there's a few that we're missing. So let's go through 5 video games that really deserve remakes. Number 5 is Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter used to be one of the big mascots for PlayStation, and it's still my personal favorite Naughty Dog series. The game is about Jak, a human, with his friend Daxter. Now, in the opening cutscene of the game, Daxter falls into what's called Dark Eco and turns into an Otzel. I don't think Otzels are real. I'm pretty sure they made that for the game. The rest of the game is Jak and Daxter going on an adventure trying to find a sage that can cure him. The first Jak and Daxter game was a really cool evolution of the 3D platformer, and the story was decent for what it was. But then you get into Jak 2 and the story really takes off. Jak and Daxter is one of those games that I don't think needs to be touched at all, except for upgrading some assets. It definitely doesn't need to be remade from the ground up or anything, unless they can do that without altering the physics or the controls or anything like that. Honestly, just an HD brush of paint or upgraded assets is all it really needs, and maybe that will give PlayStation a reason to reboot the franchise. Number 4 is Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell was an early 2000s stealth game. Unlike other stealth games, this was based heavily in realism. In this game, you play as Sam Fisher, an agent for Third Echelon, a spy organization, basically. And you have to infiltrate areas to gather information or do certain missions, all while never being seen. This series really got me into stealth games. This game is the reason I owned all that spy gear that they used to sell in the 2000s. The original Splinter Cell game, I think, is in desperate need of a remake. I actually started out the series playing the third game, Chaos Theory, but from going to the third down to the first game of that series, ooh, they definitely made some changes. Sometimes the stealth was a little buggy and the AI didn't really respond the way you'd think it would. And in a game like this, you have to be precise with whatever you're doing or else you're going to get caught. So yeah, Splinter Cell, I think, definitely needs some graphical updates, of course, and definitely some upgrades to the gameplay itself. Number 3 is BanjoKazooie. Talk about wasted potential. 2 of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Made by Rare for Nintendo systems, Microsoft comes along and says, wow, they're really good at making games. Let's buy them so they can make games for us. And then proceed to never use the stuff that made them great. Yeah, we actually got a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but almost nothing else from that 64 era of greatness that Rare had. I will say they made some good ports to bring over to the Xbox Arcade, but then nothing else except for nuts and bolts. We don't talk about nuts and bolts. Honestly, if there were ever a game to be remade from the 64 era of Rare, it's BanjoKazooie. So BanjoKazooie was basically a Super Mario 64 clone, but don't hate me for saying it, I think it was way better. But to be fair, it was made after Super Mario 64, so developers had time to play those games and see how they worked and try to improve upon it. The game opens with the witch Gruntilda talking to her pot. Grunty asks the pot, who's the most beautiful girl in the world? And the pot says Banjo's little sister. So instead of reporting him to HR, she gets angry, grabs her broom, and flies off to kidnap Banjo's sister, Tootie. And that starts your big adventure. Banjo and Kazooie have to go through Gruntilda's lair to find Tootie and rescue her from Gruntilda before she steals her beauty. That's pretty much the main story. There's not a whole lot to it. The gameplay is stellar. You start off with a pretty basic moveset, but you unlock more as you progress through the game. Gameplay-wise, I don't think this needs to be touched. I've replayed this game hundreds of times, and I don't remember ever being disappointed in some kind of gameplay aspect. The only thing this game really needs is, again, just HD assets. And maybe a remastered soundtrack. Oh, and number 2, we've got a big one. Bully. Bully is the most underrated Rockstar game. Our main character, Jimmy Hopkins, is being dropped off at a boarding school by his awful mom and equally as awful new stepdad. From the first cutscene, we can tell that Jimmy's kind of a bad kid, more of a rebellious kid in my opinion, but you get what I mean. Now, you can tell the faculty thinks this school is fancy and snooty and everything like that, but out in the streets of the school, it's very Canis Canum edit. Now, Jimmy just wants to get through school and that's it, but his new friend Gary has a plan to take over the school and wants to use Jimmy as a way to do that. You might have seen my short, Bully is not GTA in a school. And it's not, but it does resemble GTA with the controls. You press A to run, you press B to jump, that kind of thing. But the story and the characters and the chemistry between all of them mixing together really makes it stand on its own. Now, most Bully fans are really wanting a sequel. I'm definitely one of them too, but I really think it would be great to have a remake of the original. There was Scholarship Edition, which made some improvements, but not enough that I would really call it a remake. Not only would a good 4K or HD remake of Bully be awesome, I really think it would tide people over waiting for Bully 2, if they're still making it. Now this one I'd say could use a little bit of improvement with the gameplay. I think Bully would really benefit from having more GTA 5-ish physics, at least for running and jumping and general character movement. That and of course the HD assets, I think you have a great remake on your hands. The game was really good looking on the PS2 already, and even more so in Scholarship Edition on the 360. So yeah, if we're not getting a Bully 2 anytime soon, just give us a remake. So number one, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because this is actually gonna be 2 games. This has been rumored about for years and years and never has come to fruition, but it would make everyone happy. Of course, I'm talking about Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Anybody who's ever known me knows I love Sonic, and especially Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 turned me into a Sonic fan. Sonic Adventure 2 turned me into a gamer, and in doing so, Sonic Adventure 2 is the reason I'm fat. But Sonic Adventure 1 was just as influential as the second one. Sonic Adventure was the first fully 3D Sonic game, and the biggest pivot in the Sonic franchise so far. With completely new designs for the characters, actual voices, and fleshing out their personalities, it really turned Sonic into what he is today. The story for the first one was awesome. Eggman awakens a beast from inside the Master Emerald called Chaos. Sonic and friends have to try and stop Eggman before he destroys the world. And in Sonic Adventure 2, Eggman awakens a beast named Shadow the Hedgehog. And Sonic and friends have to stop Eggman before he destroys the world. Huh. Like I said before, both of these games were extremely influential in the whole Sonic franchise. There's a reason these games are the most talked about ones by Sonic fans on YouTube. And that's why I'm so surprised that we still haven't got a full remake of either one. A while back, we did get an HD port of Sonic Adventure 2 for the PC and the Xbox 360, but that was it. These games are in desperate need of a remake or remaster. And like I said at the beginning of this segment, there have been rumors for years that this was being worked on. And judging by a few articles and interviews that have come out lately, it's really starting to seem like they are going to do it at some point. So here's hoping that they're finally gonna give me the HD remake of my dreams. So what do you think of my list? Are any of these games on your HD remake wish list? And if not, what do you want to see remade? Let me know down in the comment section. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. I will see you next time on The Z-Man Show.